Hello. So you guys, you're definitely probably hear some interruptions from my kids because my husband's not home right now and the kids are. So anyway, we'll see how this goes. I am excited because I know this last week that you were focused on um, getting samples out and inviting people to your class, right? I'm going to turn the light on, so hopefully this is a little bit better. It's a little bit fuzzy and grainy, but it's all right. So anyway, I'm going to turn a little light on, so maybe that makes it a little bit better. I don't know that much, but whatever. So anyway, this week we're going to talk about what you do when you've handed a sample to somebody and they either want to come to a class or they're interested in purchasing things. Now, some people, at the end of the day, my biggest thing is that people feel respected with what their wishes are. You know, I don't want anybody ever feeling like that I'm pushing them into something that they don't want. My job, though, is to always help people understand the best way for them to purchase. So if somebody, you know, I've handed samples to people, and I talked about this last week as well, but I have handed samples to people that have said, oh my gosh, I love that balance oil. Where can I buy some? I want to buy that right now. And I'll say, oh my gosh, that is so great. I'd love to come over and just chat real quick, or we can hop on the phone and I can show you exactly how you can purchase that. And then when I talk to them, I'll just say, okay, so you have a couple of options. You can do retail, but here's the deal. You're going to love these oils. And if you do retail, you are going to be paying a higher price. And you can actually get your wholesale membership totally free by getting a little set of oils. And I think you'll be amazed at all the things the oils can do. So anyway, that's what I always do. I really discourage retail just because for two reasons. First of all, the people are paying bigger amounts and they're usually only buying a couple of things. And the second reason is because the whole reason I signed up for this business is I wanted a residual income, and retail isn't residual. It lasts 1 month, and that's great. Have I sold retail? Yes. Will I sell retail again? I'm sure I will. But I want people changing their lifestyles with these essential oils, and so that's why I want them to get their own account. Now, with that little caveat in mind, I am going to hop in and show you what I do whenever I do meet with somebody one-on-one or when I teach a class. Now, this class can be done online and it can also be done in person. So I know that in some places, like people are still gathering. I still gather. So I would definitely still be up for hosting classes and teaching classes. So I'm going to share my screen so that I can show you where I find this handout that I really like. So I'm going to hop on the internet, the good old World Wide Web, and I'm going to go to, actually, you know what? I'm just going to go to, well, we're just going to Google it. Doterra Natural Solutions Handout. Bam. Now, you want to make sure that you have one for the US because there's different countries and the different countries have different prices, and sometimes their oils are called different things. So for example, Breathe can be called Easy Air, Digest and it can be called Zengest in other countries. And we just want to make sure that when we're talking about oils, when they go to order it, they know what they're getting and the prices as well. So we are going to just click on Natural Solutions. And this is the handout I go through. I'm going to scroll. Yep, that's exactly what we want. So once I get a person meeting one-on-one or a class, this is what I do. But as I told you earlier, and I'm going to reiterate this next week as well, because we're going to talk about how to enroll somebody in specific. So week 1 was just setting our goals and making our list. Week 2 was inviting people, like sharing samples, inviting. And then this week we're focusing on presenting, like how to share, how to do an oil class or a one-on-one. You can do this online, in person. And then next week, I'm going to just teach you some more closing tips. So we're going to go all over those closing tips again next week, just because it's something that I really like for people to get good practice with. And then the week after that, we're going to talk about supporting, how to help somebody after they've enrolled. What do you do to keep them going? And then we're going to do we'll have another one because we'll have a 6th week where we're going to just talk about where to go from here and finding builders and whatnot. So I'm going to make this a little bigger. It's hopefully not too tiny for you. And this is the presentation. So I've told you some tips and tricks for getting people to meet with me. And one thing that you can say to put their mind at ease, and remember, there's a difference between saying, hey, come to my class. Don't worry, you don't need to buy anything. No. There's a difference between that and saying, hey, I would love for you to come to my class. And I don't want you to feel pressured like you need to purchase anything. So if at the end of the night you don't want anything, it's totally fine. But if you want to get something, I'll show you how you can purchase it. I'll just say something simple like that because I want people's minds to be at ease when they come to an event that I'm doing, because it's more likely that they'll show up if they don't feel like they're going to be sold to. So when I'm doing a class, so if I'm doing a one-on-one, I obviously personalize this a lot more. If I'm doing this in a group, it's going to be more formal. So I'm going to kind of toggle between how I do each kind of event. A lot of times you'll find yourself doing a lot of one-on-ones. So what I like to do is I like to introduce myself if I'm in a class. Or like if someone's hosting the class for me, I like them to introduce me, just give a little summary of why they invited me to teach their class. And so one thing you can do before that, sorry, I just showered and blew dry my hair and my ears itch so bad. Real life problems over here. So I like them to introduce me, but sometimes I'm teaching a class for somebody I don't know very well. And so one thing that I like to do is I like to give them just a little information on me. I've been using oils for 10 years. I'm a presidential diamond in the company. I've got 4 kids, none of whom have ever been on antibiotics. I have, I'll just give some just basic things, and it's always good to, you want people coming to your class feeling like you're an expert. You don't want people coming and feeling like, now I don't want that to intimidate any of you and have you thinking, well, I'm not an expert. You know what? You know about oils and you love them and you have a book that can help you be that expert. So it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not an essential oil expert, but you could say I'm very well versed in essential oils, especially when it comes to kids, household cleaning, just some basics. So when someone introduces you, they can talk about what you are an expert at, because we're all experts at different things, right? So have them introduce you, or if you're teaching your own class, you can introduce yourself. Why do you love oils? What have you found that works for your family? Keep it brief. You don't want to spend hours on end talking about yourself and every little experience you've had with your oils, because people get bored after a while with that. So one thing I like to do is I go through this natural solutions handout, and I will go through and just talk about the difference between modern medicine and the natural approach. So I have a class that you can watch online on YouTube that shows you how to teach. So I'm not going to do a full class tonight because you can definitely watch that on YouTube. If you need the link, you just message me and let me know and I can get that to you. Sometimes I do make the link. It's not hidden. It's just you have to have the link to access it, but it's not private. But I like to go through the modern approach and the natural approach. Now, I am all about both modern and medicine and essential oils. I need an anti-anxiety medicine. I just do. That is the reality with Jen Oldham. And I spent 10 years just using essential oils, and I needed help. So I never want anybody to leave my class feeling shamed or feeling like they're bad because they're on medications or anything like that. Because at the end of the day, I love natural medicine. I mentioned that none of my kids have been on antibiotics. Well, I've had one son that got a skin infection that we later figured out how to help support with the essential oils. So, but I did have to do an antibiotic once, one kid, right? So my kids are 4, almost 5, 8. I have 8-year-old twins and then 11. And we've been antibiotic free except for that one little incident. And it was 3 years ago. I haven't been on antibiotics in 3 years. So I love natural medicine. It's where my heart gravitates towards. It's what I believe in. It's what I love. But there is a time and a place for modern medicine. And I think sometimes there's a little bit of shaming that can take place with pharmaceuticals. And that's something I just don't get behind. Do I think that pharmaceuticals can cause a lot of problems? I do. Do I think they're way overprescribed? I do. Do I think that they can cause an overabundance of deaths? I do. But do I think there's people who it makes all the difference in the world for their quality of life, or it makes it so they can live? Yes. So I always like to call the essential oils the first line of defense. And most of the time this works for me. Most of the time it works for my family. I'm the only one on a prescription in my family. Like I'm the only one. But I still use my oils for anxiety. So the reason that I'm illustrating this for you is that as you're teaching your class, you don't want anyone to feel like it's all or nothing, or that they have to fit in a certain category to use these or feel shame if they take medications. I absolutely do go over all these things. Do I like the side effects of medications? No, I do not at all, ever. But I love the oils because when you take them, you don't have side effects, right? And they're awesome and they work great. So when I teach a class, I always talk about modern approach and I talk about the natural approach. My heart resides with the natural approach. Even though I'm on a medication, it resides there and I love it. And I still use my oils to help support my mood. So then we go through and we talk about, and I do talk about, I just say, how many of you had an allergic reaction from a medication that's not fun or had a side effect? Everybody always raises their hand, and I'll just say, with the oils, I've never had a negative side effect. And if you do have one, they're uncommon and it's usually like a little skin irritation or something, right? So that's why I love these oils. That's why I go to them first, just because they're so good. And then I talk about essential oils being effective. Like, what are they? And this sheet guides you through so you know exactly what to say. They are oils or extracts that come from plants, and they not only provide the plant with its aroma, but they provide benefits for the plant as well, right? And then I talk about oils and their ability. Hang on a second. Who's playing the piano? I'm recording a webinar. Sorry about that. This is just real mom life over here. It was just distracting me and I was like, I can't think. So then I talk about oils being able to support your body through many types of different situations that go on. I'm trying to keep this FDA approved. You want to talk about oils curing, treating, whatever. You want to talk about how they support your body. So they can help your body that combat threats without building up resistance. That's a great way. I love how they've put it in here. This little pink blob is intended to be a virus, and this green blob is intended to be bacteria. So it just talks about the interaction that can take place between viruses and bacteria. So again, if you need to watch one of my classes that I've done, ask me and I'll shoot you the link. We talk about the essential oils being very potent, because a lot of people will say, oh, they're so expensive. And I'm just like, okay, you think wellness is expensive? Have you tried illness? Because illness is like very expensive. And the oils are so affordable. They're literally pennies per dose. So we talk about that. Then we talk about the quality. You guys, this is what I love about Doterra. And it has been interesting to see so many different companies pop up. Now, when you're teaching, you never want to shame another company. You never want to talk about, well, they do this. I just talk about what Doterra does. I don't care what another company does. I care about what Doterra does. And I care about their quality and the process that they go through to have the quality that they do. And if you want to get or want or need to get more familiar with Doterra's quality, you can visit their Source to You website. I'll show this to you real quick. Oh, should I spell it right? It's just going to talk all about their quality. So this is a really good place to visit if you need to learn more about their quality, because there's the journey, the stories, quality. And then you can learn about the quality, adulteration, and then reports. Most companies have adulterated oils. And the simple reason is because most companies either don't care or they're buying from a broker. So they don't know what they're getting themselves. And I think a lot of times we get very caught up on the label organic. Does not always mean USDA certified organic, does not always mean there's no pesticides. It just means it's been sprayed less or been sprayed at different points, whatever. So sometimes people would just want that organic label, and that's great. I am one of those people that does like organic, just because it's getting sprayed less, right? However, Doterra stuff is above and beyond organic because they're testing. So I'm going to let you read about that on your own. But I always like to talk about the quality. And one of my things that I like to point out to people is that doTERRA puts their money where their mouth is. You know, a lot of companies claim to have pure oils and they don't. If you're paying $5 for a bottle of frankincense, it's not pure. And so the quality is super, super important. Now, it's always good to interject a couple stories. Keep them short, keep them brief. And then one thing I like to do is ask other people. Now, you want to make sure that you're not going to ask your talker, you know, the person in the class that if they raise your hand, you're like, okay, this is going to be like 5 or 10 minutes long. We don't want that. You want someone that you know will give a quick answer, you know, especially people there who may have used oils. Okay, so I talk about the quality, and then I talk to people about how to use the oils. So I always bring oils with me to my classes. If you're doing an online class, one good thing is to mail them a sample ahead of time. Wild orange and peppermint is a great combo, because one thing I do when I teach my classes is I have everybody hold their hands out, and I put a drop of orange and peppermint in their hands. I have them rub it together, cup, and inhale it over their nose and mouth. And I just show them why aromatic is so great. And I want them to still have that experience even if they're not with me. So I like to give them oil experiences while I'm there. And I like to keep everything very simple so that nobody leaves overwhelmed. So I just go through and I show people how to have an aromatic experience. I talk about how to use topically and how to use internally. I never, you know, some people are uncomfortable to use oils internally, and that's okay. I will send them the article by Jason Jorgensen. It's not Jorgensen, it's Jorgensen. And you can Google it. Dr. Jason Jorgensen using oils internally, and you'll find an article that he's written about the safety. So I just show them how to use them. And I give just these basic oils. Like you could use peppermint aromatically, deep blue internally, or topically. You don't take deep blue internally, On Guard internally. And I just give them just some basics of how to use the oils. And then I love to get people involved, and I'll just say, okay, I would love to hear about you and your health concerns or goals. Who has something that they would love to tackle with the oils? And you can even just write it down. Or if you're doing a one-on-one, you can just write down the things they mention. If you're feeling overwhelmed, there's never anything wrong with pulling out your Modern Essentials book or your Modern Essentials app that you can get for $6.99 and referencing what might be good for them. There's never a problem with that. I don't ever think negatively when somebody pulls open a reference guide, like even a doctor, or I do energy. I have a lady that does, she'll just do, I don't want to say that it's energy work, but she calls it a balance. And sometimes she'll reference her guide about what might balance my body, what element or whatever. And I never think, well, gee, Tani, why don't you have that memorized? I never think that. I'm like, hey, I love that she's making sure she's giving me the right recommendation. So don't ever be worried about either presenting with note cards or having your book there to reference. Don't worry about that. It's just fine. So I like to find out, what do people want to learn? Like what are some things that I can talk about? And then what I do is I do pick like 7 to 10 products to talk about. And then I just give really simple usages for each of those products. And then I am all about tying them in with what people have said that they would want to use their oils for. And you can always have people fill out the form where they say what they want to feel less of and what they want to feel more of. Excuse me. Oh, the really cool thing about this handout is that it also gives you a little cheat sheet for what each product is good for. Now, one tip for my classes is, now if you're doing an online class, you can send everybody this link. So it's really easy. If you're doing an in-person class, I actually laminated these. I didn't laminate them. I got a folder and put them in page protectors, and I use them over and over and over. So people can look through and be reading this. I always talk about lifelong vitality. And this right here is a great little summary of what lifelong vitality is good for. And then daily habits that are just great. Because I want people coming to this class with a desire to change their lifestyle or to enhance it or whatever. So that's what I want. So go through, show them how to use 7 to 10 products. I keep it simple. I'm not going through how to use helichrysum or myrrh or sandalwood. We are talking about the basics, because I want them getting comfortable with those basics first. And then we go from there. So I'm going to go over this again next week more in detail, but if you are doing a class this week or are doing a one-on-one, then I want you guys to have some knowledge about how you might close your class or how when you're meeting with a person. And I'll just say, okay, so there's a couple of options for purchasing the oils. So you can do retail or you can get a membership. And it's awesome because Doterra does not require you, if you have a membership, to order monthly. You'll still keep your discount no matter what. So here's the cool thing. You can get that membership one of two ways. You can either pay a one-time fee of $35 or you can purchase a starter set. Now, a lot of the oils that come in the starter set are going to be those basic things that we talked about. The deep blue that's really good to support achy muscles. The breathe that's going to help your respiratory system. The digestin that's going to always help those tummy troubles. The on guard that's going to just keep your immune system rocking, which I know is so important to people right now. You're going to get those basics. And the cool thing is they actually waive that $35 fee. So you're getting a free membership. So I love for people to start with a kit, and I'll tell you why. Because when I first started, I wanted one oil. Not with Doterra, but just when I was introduced to oils. And I had a bottle of tea tree. And that was great. Didn't know what to do with it. It was really, tea tree is great. I love tea tree. But if I could only ever have tea tree with me, I wouldn't get to experience the benefits of the oils nearly as much. So I love for people to have a set, because even if you're super healthy, hey, I'm super healthy. I never get sick. I never get sick. But stuff still comes up. And it's nice to have a set of oils that can help support those things that come up. So there's a kit for every budget. This handout only goes over a couple of them. So when I meet with people, I usually pick 2 to go over. And they actually don't have my favorite kit on here, which I think is really funny. So you can actually have a little supplement, but I like a supplemental sheet. But they do have the Healthy Essentials kit. That's actually my favorite kit. So usually what I'll do is I'll just briefly go through the 4 kits. I'll say, okay, so here's 4 options right here. And if you feel like one of these just doesn't meet your needs, let's chat more. Now, I will always talk about that Healthy Essentials kit because I think it's the best kit. I can get almost anybody to buy a Healthy Essentials kit if they're going to buy a kit. If they're deciding between Healthy Start, Healthy Essentials, I can usually get them to do that Healthy Essentials. But what I do is I just go through the advantages of each kit. I'll say, so this Healthy Habits kit is perfect for somebody who wants to dabble with the supplements and who wants to try the essential oils, because you're going to get 5 really great essential oils, but you're also going to get those supplements. And we talked about those earlier and their benefits. And then you're going to get Terrazyme, which is one of my favorite supplements because it helps your body to break down certain foods that your body just doesn't have the right enzymes to digest, or the food doesn't have the right enzymes to digest. Sorry, I can't talk today. And so we take those digestive enzymes to just help our body to digest, utilize, absorb the foods that we're eating, right? And it can help minimize the gas, bloating, things like that. Love that supplement. The Healthy Start kit. This is one of Doterra's most popular kits because you're going to get your basic 10 oils and a diffuser, super budget friendly. The Natural Solutions kit is definitely for somebody who wants to go all in. This is not by any means all of Doterra's products, but this is going to be just if you want to try a good range of their supplements and their oils, this is great. The Healthy Home is your basic 10 oils in bigger sizes, and then some On Guard products and shampoo and conditioner. Okay, you guys, my favorite kit is called the Healthy Essentials kit. And I'll tell you why I love it. I love it because it's got your basics, but it's also got really good emotional support oils. And then I go through and I talk about the oils. So a lot of times when I'm talking about kits, if I'm meeting one-on-one, I always ask people what they're looking for. I'll just say, okay, so tell me a little bit more about you and your health concerns or goals that you want to tackle. If they ever say anything about emotions, I know I'm going to try to give into that Healthy Essentials kit because that's going to be their best option. If they're like, I want frankincense, amazing how many times people call it Frankenstein. I want frankincense, I want tea tree, peppermint. I think there's one called ice blue. I'm like deep blue. And then I'll try to get them into that Healthy Start kit. And then I'll ask them their budget. Like, what would you feel comfortable investing into these? And then I'll steer them between, usually at that point, I just recommend one kit. because a confused mind doesn't purchase. So I like people to see their options at a class. If it's a one-on-one, I ask them, and then I recommend what kit I think they should get. And sometimes people will make a comment like, oh, I don't know, I actually want to get a bigger kit. And I'll be, okay, perfect. What are you looking for? So again, we're going to go over this more next week. But I want you to still set up a time to talk to someone about the oils. So your assignment for this week is going to be having a one-on-one with somebody or a class. And if you haven't had a chance to set it up yet, get it set up for a time that will happen within a week. So that is your assignment. I want you to get, and it could be one person, and it could be on Zoom. It could be a coffee date. It could be a class. You could have a small class in your home with 3 people, and that would be great. But I want you to have a class, and I want you to give this presentation to them. Now, one thing I would highly recommend is watching my presentation first, and then you practicing it. In fact, you know what? I'm going to make that assignment this week. So we're going to have you watch my presentation if you haven't seen it yet. If you've seen it already, you're good. But watch my presentation. It's 30 minutes. And then I want you to run through it. And then you are going to set up your one-on-one or your class to happen. Actually, let's say by the end of October. So that's going to be, and if you're watching this later, just have your class within 2 weeks. But for if you're watching it live, end of October. So sorry, I kind of think as I go. So what we're going to do is you're going to watch the class, you're going to practice the class, and then you're going to set up your event or have it this next week. That would be so awesome. That can get you moving forward in your business. And again, next week, we're going to talk more about closing tips, and I'm going to go way more into depth with closing and my tips and tricks for that. I'm one of Doterra's top enrollers. If anytime they do a competition in the US, I'm usually in the top 10. So including right now their incentive trip. I think I'm toggling between 8th and 9th place, but that is amazing. I feel honored with that. So my point is not to brag and say, hey, I'm so awesome, but to say I have experience with this, and I have a lot of, I've just learned some tips and tricks for helping people to enroll. So next week, we're going to really focus on that. So your 3 assignments: watch the video, practice the presentation on your own, and do a presentation with somebody there, right? And this week, I am going to give away one of my favorite supplements. So that's what we're going to do. And good luck for sure, because I want you to really thrive at this. And remember that practice makes perfect. Don't give up if it doesn't go the way you want it the first time. It's okay. My first 3 classes, nobody showed up to. So there's that. And I'm glad I didn't quit, because here we are with an incredible lifestyle because I didn't quit. So good luck this week. And I'm excited to hear about how it goes.